Today I'm here in sunny Northampton with Eurotank. I'm here to find out how LifeLiner can upgrade your tank farm while keeping your day-to-day business operating. So let's go and find out all about it. After entering the secure work area, I was guided to one of Eurotank's groundhog units, which contains a small site manager's office, toilet, shower and welfare facilities for the installation team. I was given a thorough site induction where I was talked through the key hazards on site and the associated control measures in place. I'm here with Alex Liss, Operations Director for Eurotank Environmental. So Alex, what is LifeLiner?
LifeLiner is how we upgrade a single skin tank into a brand new double skin tank with a 30-year warranty.
30 years, that's a very long time for a warranty. How can we be sure it's going to last?
As you can see, we've brought a factory environment to a forecourt. That allows us to keep the quality control measures in check at every stage of the install.
So what do you mean by quality control?
So the factory environment we've created on site protects the installation from the natural elements. The resin that we use is cured under ultraviolet light, so we need to protect the curing process of that resin from the natural daylight.
So I've seen lots of checks being carried out by the team while I was here. Are they quality control checks?
Exactly, yeah. So every phase of the install, the system is given a quality control test, whether it's thickness testing, hardness testing, vacuum and pressure testing. Every stage of the install is given a test right up until the final commissioning.
So a lot of operators might know what it means to upgrade their tank to a double skin tank. Can you explain what that means?
So traditionally, upgrading to a double skin system relies on the existing host tank to have a lining system applied on top of it, and the existing tank becomes part of the double skin lining. With LifeLiner, we actually apply 2 new layers on top of the existing tank, which effectively becomes a mold. Here is a sample of the LifeLiner. As you can see, we've got 2 layers of lining sandwiching an interstitial space. That interstitial space continues all around the vessel, creating a continuous interstitial, the same as a brand new double skin steel tank.
So it's a very bold statement to say and guarantee that you can keep a forecourt trading while you do your works. How does that work?
So Eurotank phased the project. At the very beginning, we remapped the forecourt to repipe all of the tanks into a single manifold chamber. That allows us to manifold tanks on and offline to create the continuous fuel supply from certain tanks while certain tanks are taken offline to be upgraded. Phase 2 is the LifeLiner setup on site. The factory comes to site, is set up, ready to work on tanks which have been taken offline. Once those tanks have been upgraded, fuel is put back into those tanks and the opposing tanks are taken offline where they can be worked on until every tank is completed, and then the forecourt is rebalanced in the pipework. At the end of the project, if any tanks aren't required, we can decommission them. They're effectively removed from the fuel supply, drained of product, degas, and we use a foam injection method to decommission the tanks permanently.
Alex then took me on a tour of the site to explain what he meant by factory environment. The first container he opened stored plastic boxes filled with pre-cut fiberglass material. Both the chopped strand mat and the 3-dimensional glass woven fabric material are pre-cut in advance of the job and stored in sections needed for each tank entry session. Alex also pointed out boxes of hundreds of disposable overalls, which are used to protect the installation team and their safety harnesses from coming into contact with the resin used in the process. In the second container, Alex talked me through the light curing resin store, where drums of resin are pre-mixed with a light curing agent and the combined mix is then pumped into the tanks. One of the 2 installation teams uses a power roller, which is continuously fed with a pumped resin. Alex then showed me all the plant used to power the operation. Diesel-powered compressors and generators fitted with Chalwin valves and spark arresters. A 2,000 litre Bowser with dispensing hose and nozzle allows refuelling to take place quickly and cleanly. A large active charcoal filter on the roof of the tank entry container scrubs the smell of fiberglass and any particles created in the process to ensure visiting petrol station customers aren't impacted in any way. Another container was being used as a general store and changing room, with individual lockers for each member of the team. The toilet and emergency shower ensure total independence from the petrol station. and allow the installation process to run 24 hours with 2 shifts working back to back on site where there are no noise restrictions. Lastly, we entered the tank entry container, which Alex explained had previously won awards for innovation, health and safety. A ducting system was in place to move a large volume of air continuously from the floor of the tank up and out of the container and through the air scrubber. Alex explained that the negative ventilation system ensured only clean air was let into the container through the roof vents, which prevented vehicle exhaust emissions from entering the container. This was a key control measure for working on live sites. Eurotank has pioneered the use of hazardous area CCTV to significantly improve safety during LifeLiner installation works. The top man can see the team inside the tank at all times and can also talk to them via the ATEX radio system. The 2-person team work in harmony to install the LifeLiner in sections, which are then cured using ultraviolet light. The container is fitted with confined space access equipment and a hazardous area electrical lighting and power system. An anti-static mat is laid down to protect the forecourt concrete.
So one of the most important things about keeping a site operating when you're doing this process is to keep the fuel deliveries arriving at site and undisrupted going into the tanks. So how do you achieve that?
Absolutely. We try to make sure it's as safe as possible. Most important thing is to create an isolation on the fill points. So as you can see, we've capped off the tanks which we're working on, so the tanker physically can't connect on and make a delivery. The tanks that are still open and trading, we've put our own Eurotank padlocks on there. So the tanker driver has to come into the site and engage with the Eurotank site manager so you can get approval to start work. Fuel is only dropped into the tanks once all the work has ceased. Guys are out of the tanks, potentially taking a break.
It was a cold and wet day when I visited the site, and it was obvious that one of the major benefits of the site containers was the protection from the wind and rain that they provided.
So Alex, thank you for your time today and thanks for showing me around. It's clear that you and your team are really focused on health and safety and very focused on looking after each other and looking after their customer, who's able to have their customers pumping fuel 24/7 while we're standing here in the rain. I've been really impressed with what I've seen here today in Northampton. I'm over 20 years in the industry, but we keep finding better ways of doing things, and LifeLiner is certainly better than any tank lining or tank refurbishing system that I've ever seen before. So I think if you want to know more, I think you should contact Eurotank.